What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Simplify. I have a really important topic to bring to you today, and it's really more in the form of a question. How do you vet the people you're listening to? In fact, better yet, who are you listening to? Who are they? Why would you trust this person to tell you how to do something in your life? Now, oftentimes they come to you with great experience. They can walk you through a certain problem, or they've lived a certain thing themselves, but not always do they have that experience. One of the biggest concerns that I see is conflict of interest. Oftentimes, in the financial space in particular, these individuals are selling you on a particular idea. They'll catch your attention by saying, make $1 million quickly. I earned $1 million in 3 weeks. Some really extraordinary feat. They make it sound all too simple. Then you watch the video, you're compelled, you listen, you get excited, you think, wow, that could be me. I could be making that kind of money in a short amount of time with very little effort. All I need to do is follow their program. Now, herein lies the catch. The conflict of interest here is simple. They are telling you that they did something. You have no way of really validating that. And then they're selling you a product that is supposedly going to get you from point A to point B to allow you to do what they've done. The problem with that is often they're actually making their money by selling you this product. There's no guarantee that it will be successful. There's no way for you to enforce any kind of guarantee, even if they say this is guaranteed to make you this much money in this much time. They can always find a way to excuse themselves based upon different market conditions or different situations. They can say that you aren't working hard enough or aren't doing X, Y, and Z quite right. There are all sorts of outs here. And so there's a basic conflict of interest that you need to be aware of. Now, that doesn't mean that some people out there aren't selling good things. There are a lot of people who are offering great bits of education on YouTube and the like. They are giving you good messages, but oftentimes this doesn't involve a transaction. This doesn't involve a really, really expensive one-on-one coaching session or course or some kind of mentorship that you need to subscribe to. So anytime someone's asking you for your credit card and promising you something that they simply can't promise you, you need to start asking yourself, who is this person? Why do I trust them? Now, this leads me into my second point. Again, it's asking the very same question. Who is this person? Can you do some research to see what they've done in their life that actually qualifies them to be sharing these things with you? Now, sometimes financial advisors who at one point in their life were employed by some corporation to actually advise. They have certifications. They're there telling you how they used to teach these principles to customers and other clients. That's one thing. That does qualify them in some sense. And then there are a whole host of people like me who don't have those qualifications. All I can share with you are my life experiences and the things that I'm doing. You can get value from both types of people. You just need to know who you're listening to, why you're listening to them, and whether or not they're actually qualified. Now, you might look at me and say, well, you're not a certified financial advisor. That's absolutely true. I am not. But I also will never tell you on one of these videos that I am. I'll never tell you that I'm right about a certain thing. I'll just tell you what I think is right and what works for me in my life. And then you can make a decision. You can go and do the research yourself to confirm or decide that that path is just not right for you. The age-old saying that you are like the 5 people you spend the most time with is very true, both in person but also online. The people that you are listening to online are the people that ultimately you're going to start emulating in life. You will learn lessons from them. you'll start thinking the things that they're thinking, and you'll start to repeat some of those thoughts in your personal life. So in addition to asking, who is this person? Make sure that you're comfortable with the messaging that they're giving you. And this moves me to my third point. Algorithms on social media platforms are sending you very similar information based upon your patterns and your behaviors. If you're watching a person with a very biased view on a particular topic, YouTube is going to feed you more people that align with that philosophy. It's your responsibility to understand what that bias is. You also need to seek out information that would contradict that bias so that you have a balanced perspective. Otherwise, you risk going down a rabbit hole with only one side of the story. We all know that there are three sides to every story. It's the person on the right, the person on the left, and then the truth, which is somewhere in between those two stories on the outsides. The same case is true in everything that you're watching and the information that you're getting online. It's not often as simple as, yes, this is it, you need to believe this. Now, a lot of these people do make claims that turn out to be correct, but it's all about looking at long periods of time. One good example of this is when you look at actively managed mutual funds. This is a portfolio of investments that is associated with an active manager. You put your money into a pot, that person buys and sells different things to get your return in the stock market. The alternative to that is to buy an index fund that's just a large swath of different things that isn't necessarily manipulated actively. It's more of a passive thing, and you just sit back and watch. Now, the active managers sometimes do very, very well over a year-long period. They can be producing 20, 30, 40%. Oftentimes they're outperforming these general index funds. But then as you extend the evaluation period over 5 years or 10 years, that begins to average out, because the next year maybe they won't do 20%, they'll do 10. The following year they might do so badly that they're in the negatives. They've lost you money, in which case the longer term average is usually in favor of the index fund that is not necessarily actively managed. Now, I'll give you one more example. I love podcasts, and there are a couple I'll mention here today that I enjoy regularly. One is by a guy named Steve Schiff. He talks a lot about gold. He's a big advocate of gold, and he also has a conflict of interest because he owns a brokerage firm that sells people all sorts of financial assets, usually bringing in gold. So he's talking about the things he's selling, and then he's selling them. Now, he releases an hour-long podcast every week, and it's very compelling. You'll listen to it and think, well, this guy, of course he's correct. He's telling me that gold is going up, gold is going up. He's validating all of the specific points he wants you to hear. He also down talks things like Bitcoin, down talks things like stock investments. He's very particular about what he's promoting, but he's leaving out a lot of information. Now, if you go to a different podcast, another which I enjoy, it's called The Investors Podcast. They have a weekly Bitcoin episode. This episode features everything involving Bitcoin, and they present arguments that are extremely compelling around Bitcoin and not so compelling around gold. And so it just depends on which you're choosing to listen to. Both actually have been right a lot of the time, and both have been wrong a lot of the time. You pick and choose the people that you want to associate with, and that's how your thinking oftentimes materializes in the decisions that you're making financially. This is not necessarily a problem, but in every case, I like to reach out and hear the other side of the argument. If I'm listening to a Republican argument, I like to listen to a Democrat argument. I like to make sure I have balance and that I'm doing due diligence on every argument so that I have the perspective of both sides. News is quite distorted these days. They manipulate you on every side. And so don't trust anything that you're hearing. Don't trust things you hear from me. Don't trust things you hear from other people who have YouTube channels. And definitely don't trust news articles. Make sure you're looking across the board at different, diverse sets of resources and seeking out different opinions. The diversity of knowledge that's available today is extremely important. Make sure you take advantage of it and try not to find yourself following a specific type of information, whatever you're seeking out. You can really go down a bad pathway and you completely lose perspective. This can be very problematic in the financial space because you'll start to make really bad decisions. I hope this information was helpful for you today. If you did enjoy the video, I would love to hear from you below. Please add a comment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, do all the things that help us grow and get the word out about how you can make good, neutral decisions and bring in information that helps you, doesn't hurt you, and makes you smarter so that you personally can do critical thinking for yourself and make your own decisions without making big mistakes. At the end of the day, it's only one person's fault. It's yours. If you make a decision, you have to own it, whatever that decision is. So make sure you're listening to a good number of people getting diverse perspectives. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, have a great weekend. Take care.